Rejoice, followers of the Dark KFC gods, for we are back with a community cast showdown featuring the Warriors of Chaos, who shall be led by Lutron and Sartorial, and the Dark Elves, who are going to be led by Thick, Cheeks, Debatist, and Malekith the Witch King. It's pretty hard to say that one with a straight face, that's for sure. So for the Warriors of Chaos, here in the front line, it's going to be a combination of Chaos Marauders, the Mirror Guard. The Mirror Guard, certainly one of the better infantry units in the game. These guys, of course, are immune to psychology, have great combat stats, 43, 58 melee defense, 38 weapon strength, and the immune to psych is just super nice for Chaos. So having that in the front line is going to be quite solid, and the rest of the front line looks like it's actually going to be Marauders, so relatively low quality as far as infantry goes, but a lot of Dark Elf players do simply use Bleak Swords and Dread Spears and kind of chaff units and then win with their other units like Chariots and Archers and things like that. So honestly, Marauders can do the trick. However, his opponent here is going to be going fairly elite. He does indeed have the Black Guard, and yeah, those guys are going to be quite tanky. Granted, their output isn't insane, but that's not all he has for infantry. In the secondary line, I did miss these guys. He does have Chosen with Halberds to help with some large threats, and then he does also have the Chosen with Great Weapons. So I'm not too sure about the Halberd pick against the Dark Elves, but I do think Chosen with Great Weapons, the standard variant, if they can't avoid Focus Fire, can actually really mulch through a lot of elite Dark Elf troops. So Chosen with Great Weapons going to be getting in pretty deep there. He does also have Sartorial the Ever Chicken, and he's going to be coming in with that sweet Final Transmutation, which is just always a good ability. It's pretty much guarantees you value in most matchups. And Plague of Rust. Over here in the flanks, we do have a couple of Chariots as well, and I do like the standard Chaos Chariots. I think that they're better than Gorby's Chariots, simply because they're a lot cheaper, and honestly, the AP difference here, I mean, it's going to be, it's going to be felt, simply because there's a lot of Black Guard, but for the most part, these guys are going to be able to do a lot of work, and I think they're a very solid pick. So he's got two Chariots as well, and on the far side, he does have the Summoners of Rage and a group of Chariots as well. So Summoners of Rage, starting off on the far side of the battlefield, most likely to try and avoid Bolt Thrower Fire or things like that. They're going to be taking a sneaky route, so we'll see how that goes. So for the forces of the Dark Elves, looks like in the front, he does have the Black Guard, and it's interesting to see a whole front line of Halberds. I mean, maybe he was expecting like a Troll Rush or a lot of Dragon Ogre Shaggoths or things like that, and against like a Kolek Shaggoth build, with them kind of teaming up, these guys could be quite, quite a threat. And at the very least, they are going to hold for a long time and allow the Dark Shards to fire. So I guess if you're going to be going for a bow-centric build and you really want to hold your front line, they're going to hold more than any other Dark Elf infantry, right? So he does have a couple Dark Shards in total. I think he has 3 of those guys, some Dread Spears on the flanks, Witch Elves in the back, which are always a good backline sweeper unit because they do Rampage. And when they rampage something, it means that unit cannot move and basically just fights where it is and gets dragged down. So that's good. And the Double Feral Manscore, the dreaded Double Feral Manscore. These guys, of course, rampage themselves, but they're pretty good at stopping Chariots and things like that. So we'll see how they do. For his leadership, he does have Malekith on the Lizard Limo, as Dav plays would say. And this guy does, of course, have Soul Stealer, Mark of Pain, and it looks like the Supreme Spell Shield, which I don't see this terribly often. So it's constant around. In a radius, it's going to be lowering power reserve and things like that. Proportional to the number of enemy units. That's pretty cool. That's an item I've never really used, so it's interesting to see it in action. So let's get the show on the road, guys, and see how this battle goes. So the forces of the Dark Elves are going to be advancing. Chaos coming in with that just balls deep flank here. The Chaos Chariots and Summoners of Rage taking that wide route right here. I think Summoners back here might be a little bit better, but I guess if he doesn't really notice them or give them much heed, perhaps it could be good. Anyway, Summoners of Rage coming around. Dark Shards are going to be pulling back a little bit, getting ready to party, and the Witch Elves are going to be getting pulled up from reserve. And you can see here the Cold One Knights are going to be kind of rushing over here, and that's the problem with doing a wide flank like this, where you only have it's very easy for someone to kind of just allocate the appropriate resources to screen all this out. Whereas if you come from the front, you have you can threat from multiple angles. Now sometimes flanking with those type of units is good, but for an anti-large specialist, I probably would use them in the center pocket. So right here, the Chariots are going to be Tokyo drifting into some of the Black Guard here. They were braced, but it looks like they kind of clipped them on the side and did some HP damage. Probably not worth it for the Chariots, as they are going to be taking some heavy Dark Shard fire here, but nonetheless, they are going to be pulling back before it's lethal, and they start to lose models and things like that. And the Warp Chicken is going to be kind of, rolling over here, thinking about taking an engagement. I mean, he could go for a big Alpha Strike. Using the Summoners of Rage plus an overcasted Final Transmutation could probably win pretty much any fight over here on this flank. So if he's going to be doing that, that could be quite pertinent there. Apologies there for the camera. And the Chariots, in the meantime, are going to be pulling back into the forest, perhaps going to be coming back and through the trees and trying to run over these spears and hit them while they're fighting other units. So while a unit is fighting, it cannot get its charge defense. So if the Black Guard are engaged, they're not going to have their charge defense, even if they're kind of standing still and fighting. And the first volleys of the Dark Shards are going to be tearing into some of the infantry in the front. Mirror Guard, of course, have silver shields. They're going to be quite durable. And the Mirror Guard are going to be fighting these elite Halberds here. Now, the Halberds have pretty good AP, Mirror Guard do not, but Mirror Guard also have very good stats. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. I feel like in a long grind, the Mirror Guard might lose it simply because they just don't have the AP to deal with that. So on the far side is the main fight. My apologies for the delay here. It looks like that did end up happening. So he takes the fight with the Summoners of Rage. Cold One Chariots pile in, Double Manscores pile in, but the Warp Chicken was saving up for that just fat, angry Overcasted Final Transmutation, which hits the Manticores, it hits the Coldwind Riders, it just pretty much melts everything, so that was pretty good. Getting those Manticores there certainly made that flank very, very worth it. His Summoners did take quite a bit of damage, but I think Chaos certainly came out ahead there. The Malekith did respond with the Soul Stealer, which was able to do some okay damage, but nonetheless, it looks like it's going to be Chaos winning this flank over here. Now, in the main fight, Marauders are going to be fighting across the board, and that's where it's going to be very nice for the Dark Elves, because the Blackguard and Agarond are going to win pretty much every engagement of theirs, and the Mirror Guard here are losing narrowly, but they are going to be getting some Chariot support, so maybe they'll pull that out. And the Chosen with great weapons, this is actually quite nice for Chaos. They were able to get an engagement against Blackguard, unimpeded, not really taking a lot of damage, and you can see the Witch Elves are scrambling to deal with the Chariots. They can't really keep up with that Chaos pressure. So the Chariots are going to be just going wham jamming all up in these Dark Shards right here, and it looks like Murderous Mastery or Prowess is going to be getting popped, so the Dark Elf army is going to get a bit of a power spike. Nothing to write home about, but it's certainly not bad. And you can see here the Summoners of Rage have gotten to the back line, and they're just going to be crumping some of these guys. They're just clubbing all over these Dark Elf troops. Up in the skies, the double Manticores have come back, so the Manticore is going to be attacking. It's a little bit risky for them to attack into the Summoners. Granted, Summoners aren't that healthy, and look at that. They do pick off a model there, so, I mean, if they could break them real quick, that'd be quite strong. Sartorial going to be dropping some sort of Witchcraft right here, or something. Yeah, it looks like the Summoners of Rage are going to be using their Chain Lightning effect, which has a little bit of a damage. Now, Chaos doing okay over here. Malekith does pull in and is able to cleave some of these Marauders asunder, and it looks like the Blackguard fighting to the last man here against these Chosen with great opens. But the Chosen are going to be able to clean these guys up and then just kind of methodically purge their way through this back line. In the front, the Chosen with Halberds are actually fighting the Blackguard with Halberds. I guess they just have Halberds. There's no Blackguard without Halberds. And it looks like the Chosen are able to win that fight with a little bit of support, of course, and it looks like those Blackguard had been fighting before. So very, very even fight. Maybe a slight bounce of power advantage for the Warriors of Chaos here, as the Drumstick Lord is going to be jumping in and attacking the Blackguard here, who do have 66 models, but there's a lot of anti-large still. And the Witch Elves are in good shape, so if they're able to get a good rampage on Sartorial and drag him down, that could very, very much change the dynamic of this game. In the meantime, Malekith is going to be helping the flanks over here, trying to help against these Chosen. And the Blackguard still have 3 models, kind of one of those like Temple Guard type units that really just fight to the bitter end. I mean, they have like literally 90 HP, and those guys are still going, what heroes? So in the back, the Witch Elves are still trying to Benny Hill and chase those Chaos Chariots. Haven't been able to really catch those guys and get a lot of value, which is pretty unfortunate for the Dark Elves. But the bounce power is kind of normalizing, so the Dark Elves must have some stuff that's going quite well. These Blackguard are in a great situation. They're fighting Chariots, they're fighting Summoners of Rage and the Chicken, all of which are large targets. So you can see the Summoners of Rage are being pulled apart right here. They only have 6 models, and they're going to be going down rather quickly now. Some of the Chaos Chariots do surge through and jump onto those Dark Shards right there, but the Witch Elves are just like, they have so much pent-up rage of it. They haven't been able to catch anything this game. It's a very, very good micro here by the Chaos player, but the Dark Elves are coming in for revenge here, and this could be really good. If they rampage both these Chariots, that is going to be a huge grab, and it looks like the Chariots might be able to just barely get away there. Oh man, what a close situation. Oh, nice for the Dark Elf player. He does get those, so good stuff there. He is able to rampage that Chaos Chariot, and is probably going to be dragging that down. Now, Chosen with Halberds are going to be piling in to help out the Warp Chicken against these Blackguard. There's 40 of them and 31 Chosen with Halberds here, and it looks like we have some Chaos Marauders and company who are going to be coming back in. But remember, Malekith is still relatively healthy as well, so Malekith is going to be a pretty substantial threat here. Dark Shards are going to be reforming ranks, and the Witch Elves are also going to be quite scary. I mean, this Chaos Force is very, very tattered here. There isn't much left. I mean, Chosen, you got some Marauders. The Dark Shard Fire is actually getting in there and doing some effective damage, and Malekith is having a bumper card fight here with these other Chariots, and we're going to see if he's able to finish this guy off. Malekith just kind of, I mean, maybe the Velociraptors will, like, yeah, kind of like, it's like one of those like Haggard action movies where like 2 cars are side by side and yeah, they're fighting. Anyways, Malekith here is going to be able to probably break off these Chariots, I would imagine, since there's some spears nearby helping. Dark Shard's getting some good Overwatch fire here, but the Chariots are going to be coming in and just crumping into those guys. Now the Witch Elves are in their, yeah, they're in their element right now. They're going to be holding back this massive tide. Marauders are rampaging, these guys are going to break, and yeah, they just pretty much have everything here rampage. So it's giving time for the Dark Elves to maybe stabilize their backline, but Malekith does have his hands full. These Chaos Chariots are really just causing so many problems for the Dark Elves this game, but the bounce power is ebbing slowly into the favor of the Dark Elves, as those Witch Elves do a lot of work. They break the Chosen, they break most of the infantry, they're able to hold back that Chaos Tide, and now Malekith is going to be coming in on his Chariot, and oh man, a glorious duel between Malekith on a Chariot and the KFC King would be super awesome. Chaos Chariots still causing a lot of problems, and it just doesn't seem like Dark Elves have anything back here to really stop that. If these Witch Elves could actually get back there and start guarding the Dark Shards, that would be just a huge, huge boon for the Dark Elves. Granted, Sartorial's going to be coming in as well. He does have really good missile resist, but he's not going to be able to do much against the Witch Elves. Witch Elves are going to be quite good against him, just like rampaging him. I mean, he does have some splash attack, I suppose. Gaze of Malice is going to be going down from Malekith over there. A little bit of a swing and a miss, but there's not really too many Chaos Infantry to target, and those guys were running, so it's always hard to time that. And it looks like the Chaos Chariots actually do get broken off. Malekith able to come in with his steel lizard chair here with his chariot, whatever the hell that thing is, chariot. And yeah, Malekith going to be attacking here. Dark Shards are back online, going to be reforming ranks and shooting into Sartorial, who does have really good missile resist. Now, If Sartorial has enough wins in Magic for another final transmutation and he's able to blob these guys up, oh, he just good play there by the Dark Elf player, able to pull those guys back, and here comes a final transmutation. Is it going to be enough? It hits the spears, it breaks those guys, which is good. The Black Guard are immune to psychology, so those guys aren't going to tear out. They're going to fight to the bitter end, and a beautiful cast right there is going to be slapping the base. Chicken jumping into the Dark Shards, which is good. He needs to shut those guys down. Even with his missile resist, the damage still would add up, right? So he's going to be jumping in there. Chaos does have some troops coming back in, and the bounce power goes massively in the favor of Chaos. What an incredible game. Very, very back and forth by these two players. Word of Pain is going to be going down as well, and the bounce of power is just like straight up like a roller coaster right now. It was like literally over here, and now it's coming back towards the middle. Witch Elf's coming back in. This Rampage can be quite clutch if he's able to Rampage this Chicken. Malekith is holding 3 leadership. What a beast. And if Malekith can finish off the Chicken, if they can Rampage him, that's going to be really good. Dark Elf player certainly should switch his fire onto the Summoners of Rage right now. Try and shoot those guys down as they do approach. And it looks like they're still firing, but what are they shooting at is really the question. Summoners of Rage getting on top of Malekith, perhaps? No, it looks like they're still shooting at the Chicken, which I think is a bit of a mistake. Malekith is shaken. 23 HP. Chaos is pretty much out of stopping power, aside from, of course, the Chicken. 1200 HP here. The last Summoners of Rage do fall. There's Spears, there's Witch Elves, there's Blackguard. Who is going to win this fight? The Warp Chicken, is he going to be able to do this? He has Unbreakable. Remember, he has 1000 HP, and it looks like Malekith is going to be falling back here as the Dread Spear surging. But yeah, the Chicken has the right idea. No need to kind of stand here and fight these guys. Finish off the Dark Shards, and then if Malekith then does come in, you can jump on him. So there could still be a Terror Route for the Dread Spears, and the Dark Shards could, of course, get Terror Routed as well, as they're not immune to Psychology. And now he's going to be charging into Malekith. Oh, and he gets just straight up dipped in that vat of fried KFC goodness. And you can see here Sartorial is going to be re-engaging, but he's rampaging. He's rampaging. Oh, and the Chaos Chariot coming out of left field. Who knew where that thing was coming from? And wow, that breaks him. If that Chariot had not come in there, the Warp Chicken would have 100% lost that. And Chaos just barely pulls out the game. So super well played to Lutron and Thick Cheeks to Baddest. Oh, God. But yeah, that was a great game. That was a great one for sure. So yeah, awesome game. And the Chaos build was pretty good. The one thing that I think was questionable was the Chosen with Halberds. Like, I just don't see any application for them in this matchup. I think just another group of great weapons would have been exponentially better. But aside from that, I love the Chariots for dealing with missiles, backline, and chaff units. You had a pretty good little wide infantry corps to pressure missiles as well. You had some anti-large. That could have been a little bit tricky if the Dark Elves had come in with like a Hydra or like, you know, a Black Dragon. I think it could have been a scary match for Chaos. But nonetheless, both players had pretty interesting, unique builds, like the double dreaded Manticore, which that initial trap, I think, was what ultimately ended up costing the Dark Elves the game, getting caught in that final transmutation bomb. But it's easy to forget. It really is. And yeah, it was just a great game. So awesome play by these guys. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this Community Cast Showdown featuring the Warriors of Chaos and the Dark Elves. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.